Good evening, everyone. My name is Sam. Oh, what happened? Mercury is just on. Okay. My name is Sam, and on behalf of Book Soup, I'd like to thank everyone for joining us for our next virtual event with Rachel True and Cree Summer, here to discuss Rachel's new tarot deck, guidebook, and memoir collection, True Heart Intuitive. We'll be hosting more virtual events in the near future, and you can learn more about them by signing up for our newsletter on our website, following us on social media at Book Soup, and that's that. So tonight's event will end with a Q&A, and to submit a question, please use the Ask a Question button at the bottom of the screen. And if you see a question on the list that you'd like for our speakers to answer, you can click the like button and bump it up, and we will try to answer as many questions as time will allow. Also, please support Book Soup and our authors tonight by purchasing a copy of True Heart Intuitive, which you can do at the green button right below here. They're going to be signed via Book Soup only, so please do that. It won't interrupt the viewing. If you're on a computer, you can click it and it'll open in a new window, and it won't interrupt anything. So with that said, let me introduce our guest speakers for this evening.
Girl, what's up, girl?
Sorry, let's let her introduce us.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I'm just going to read your bio real quick. Rachel True is an American actress who has appeared in many hit and cult films, including The Craft, Half Baked, and Nowhere. She was nominated for an NAACP award for her work on the TV show Half and Half. A native New Yorker and an avid bibliophile, Rachel is a lifelong tarot practitioner and now author. She lives in Los Angeles. Cree Summer is an actress and singer known for her extensive voiceover portfolio and her album Queen Fairy. Some of the characters she's given a voice to include Susie Carmichael in Rugrats, Princess Keita in Atlantis, Valerie Gray in Danny Phantom, and many, many, many more. It's amazing. And her latest features are on Queen Sugar. And without further ado, I'm going to turn the camera over because everyone is frazzled and it has been so long to get us on here. So sit back, relax, and enjoy the presentation. And thank you both amazing women for being with us tonight.
Thank you, sis. It's Street Fairy, not Queen Fairy, but that's okay.
First of all,
thank
you, Book Soup, for hosting us. And as you know, I'm Rachel True, and this is the amazing Cree Summer, who many of you know from her illustrious career in all different aspects of the arts, whether it is acting or voiceovers or singing. Street Fairy is one of her albums, which I just j'adore, and you guys do too. I know you do. And she was most recently, as she was introduced, she was on Queen Sugar, and she had a lovely arc on Better Things. And she's just a terrific actress and human, and she's here with me.
And I just want to say, my darling, it is such a delight to be with you because you wrote a whole book. This is such a big deal. But before we get into loving you up, can we tell that our beautiful freaks and fairies and oddities and pariahs and all you ne'er-do-wells, we have a surprise for you. Let's whip it out.
Yes. Okay, so what we're going to do is, because we really appreciate you guys joining here, even though it's free, you came, you showed up, we preach. So what we're going to do is have a giveaway, two giveaways. Now, do we show them now, or do we?
Okay, so here's the plan. I guess we should explain it. Why don't we get into it a little bit? Because, you know, Rachel is my reluctant tarot teacher. She had no idea she was going to be my tarot teacher. I literally hijacked you and told you were my teacher. So one of the first lessons that Rachel True gave me as a novice tarot reader was to pick a card and to look at it closely, everything about it, and see, what does that card make me feel? So
before you even look it up, what I'm saying is,
you can't look it up. As a matter of fact, part of this is you can't look it up. This giveaway.
Yeah.
So what we want you to do, I'm going to pull two cards, one from the major arcana, one from the minor arcana, and we want you guys to use hashtag the feels, and then we want you to tell us on Rachel's Instagram what the card makes you feel. You want to do your first pull?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to do my first pull. So basically, what was the hashtag again, Cree?
Hashtag the feels.
The feels. Wait, you know what? Let's make it the feels tarot.
Yeah,
that
the
way it
feels
doesn't
tarot.
that way it doesn't get lost with the
And
feels,
someone
right?
else's
So
feelings. The feels
Yeah.
tarot. Yes.
the feels tarot, hashtag the feels tarot. And what we want you to do is put it on my latest post, the one where me and Cree are shimmying. We want you to put where your feelings are. So here's my first card. Now this
Okay.
is a minor arcana in the tarot, and we're going to get into all this stuff later.
Here
but
we are.
in the tarot, there's 78 cards. 22 of them are major arcanas, and when you get one of those in a reading, it means something big is shifting. And then there's minor arcana cards, which are more the day-to-day minutia of life, things we must deal with. So my first card is a minor arcana, and again, we don't want you to look this up, don't want you to go to any
Don't cheat.
websites or even look at my book if you haven't yet. What we want you to do is intuitively feel the card.
And you can give one word feelings. You can say that card makes me feel sad.
Yeah,
Or
by the way, we don't need
weird.
a novel. Couple
Yeah,
sentences.
we don't want your autobiography. We just
Although
want
I'm sure you're all
a short
fabulous
explanation.
writers.
Yeah, a short explanation.
So,
All right,
okay,
whip it
here's
out.
my-
Whip it out. What you got?
Here's my first card. This is the Four of Cups, and also bonus points if you know which bit of literature inspired this my art design on this card. It's inspired from a piece of literature that I love. Here, I'll put it back here. Maybe you can see. Get a screen capture.
It looks great. It looks
With
great.
your little phones. But what I want you to see is, what does this card make you feel? Hashtag the feels tarot.
I love it.
And put it on my post. And then what we'll be doing is picking two people. Cree's going to do a giveaway. I'm doing a giveaway. Two people to give decks out to, because part of what I want to jump in, Cree's going to do her card, but part of what I want to say is, like, tarot to me is something that is exceedingly useful in a daily or semi-daily, it's just in a practice for self-reflection. Even if you're not trying to be a witch, quote unquote, right? Works so brilliantly in tandem with therapy. So anyway, we're going to get into that. But Cree, what's your card?
All right, my first minor arcana card is one of my favorites. The Eight of Discs.
The Eight of Discs.
I don't know if you can see this, but she is working so. Oh, there we go. That's so much.
Yeah,
better.
that's good.
Look at that. Look at this beauty. Look at her. She is. I'm not gonna say nothing. You figure it out, y'all.
I will also put up an Instagram story where I show the 4 cards that Cree and I pick. If you're having trouble,
that's all you get. That's all you get.
It doesn't even matter if you couldn't see it. We just want your gut, visceral intuition, because now I can kind of launch into just a little bit about,
you want to do your
tarot
major arcana pull?
Oh, you want to do them both now? All right, wait. You're right. She's right. I got to stay focused. Where's my major arcana pull? Okay, this is my major arcana pull. I've shown it before on my Instagram, but I love it.
Oh, that card is a tattoo, sister. It is so beautiful.
I know. I think I'm going to put it on some shirts, honey. But don't tell them what your impression of it. We want to hear what you guys think. And it doesn't matter.
Look at our smart. Look at your smart fans. They knew immediately Le Petit Prince. They know it's the Little Prince.
Oh, you guys do.
Let me tell you. These are some smart babies.
A lot of people didn't know. But FYI, I forgot to mention the one place right now you can get a signed book. It won't be personalized, but Book Soup. I'm going over and signing a bunch of books over there. And so if you want to order from Book Soup, just say I want a signed copy. Anyway, what's your major pull, Cree Summer?
My major pull. Here we go. That's my major pull. Called the Hanged Man.
Ooh, do me a favor. Turn that card upside down.
It is upside down.
No, turn it again upside down.
This is upside down.
No, it's upside down now, but I just want people to get a feel for that particular card. You can read. Right? I don't really do reversals, which we'll get into. I do high and low vibes, but anyway.
This is right side up.
That's right side up, and here's right side up. Okay, so you guys got your
that's enough of that.
Everybody's
seen them. Think about how it makes you feel. And,
so that's the feels
on Rachel's Instagram page. The feels. Tarot.
That's right. So now I want to get into a couple questions for Cree, because here's a little backstory, you guys, because I know you love Cree. I actually met her a gazillion years ago when I first moved out to LA, and a friend of mine,
I didn't remember. Yeah.
She wouldn't,
I don't remember.
I was brand spanking new in LA with my tarot cards, right? But I hadn't worked very much. And our mutual friend took me bowling with Cree Summer and Kadeem from a different world. And Cree's little brother, who I eventually worked with, but she has no memory of this. But I was like, oh, it's Cree Summer.
Sure, it was fabulous. Yeah.
World. And she was so nice and sweet. And then Cree and I reconnected. We were both on an episode of Better Things. And here's my question for you, Cree, because it was so delightful. It was like we were just as if we'd known each other our whole lives. Right?
Yeah, we love at first sight for sure.
Yeah, it really
Or
was.
love at second sight. I couldn't remember. Yeah,
there might have been a little haze going on.
that's right. That's right.
Now, she did not coerce me into being your tarot teacher, but my question is, you were interested in tarot already when we connected again on that set. What brought you to tarot?
Like what made me go full tilt boogie, as Hellcat, my mama says?
Yes.
A broken heart. My marriage crumbled, and I couldn't. The worst time of day for me in all that pain was waking up in the morning and having to face the reality that my heart was broken. And something said, what? Instead of paying somebody every goddamn week to assuage my feelings and asking them tarot questions, I thought to myself, I got nothing but time. My heart is shattered. Why don't I really study tarot? So I started studying tarot, and then you appeared like by magic, my sensei, my teacher, and you have given me such an incredible insight into tarot. And one of the first lessons you taught me was to trust my intuition. You told me to look at the cards and decide what I thought they meant, and then check the description. And I thought that was a very, very smart way to teach me. I'm now a 2-year tarot novice, and honestly, I'm still familiarizing myself with a deck. It's a lot of cards.
Listen, you're not a Padawan anymore, but one thing I know is even though I've written a book on tarot, I am still a student of tarot. I know there's a lot of young kids out there like, I know everything. What I know as an adult is I don't know anything.
Thank you.
That's the truth. I mean, I know enough. I've had decades of tarot practice and reading for people for a short time to pull from. But what I know is it is a lifelong thing. I will always be finding new meanings in the cards. And so in my book, you guys, which you can get from Book Soup now.
Thank you.
In the book, I don't call them definitions. They're interpretations because there are many, many schools of thought on tarot. I am so happy to have my voice be one of them. And my interpretations are very much in alignment with traditional sort of Rider-Waite-Smith based ones, because my deck is Rider-Waite-Smith, which is a 78 card deck. But I do believe I've modernized some of the language, some of the speaking, because question for you, you were getting your information on tarot for the most part, from where? Websites, I would imagine.
Here's the drag, and this is why I am going to tell you that why I love this damn book so much. It's because as a student of tarot, I was having to search for some of my decks had the audacity to give me a book this big with a description.
You guys, this is a book.
Sometimes I get a 1-line description, and what I get. And I was also kind of pulling from different websites and other books, and I never felt like it was all in one place. In True Heart Tarot, what I will say, one of my favorite parts of this book, and there are many, is your interpretations of the cards. It is so thorough. You talk about the spiritual interpretation. You talk about the high vibe interpretation, the low vibe, how it pertains to work, how it pertains to your heart, how it pertains to you independently.
Well, one thing I want to jump here and say is one of the cards that Cree picked out, right, is the Hangman. And when Cree told me that this was one of her favorite cards in the deck, I said, oh, goodness. That's so in any deck. That's so surprising because most people don't like the Hangman. And here's what I'm going to say. A lot of you are getting your information only from YouTube. Now, I really encourage you to read a book on it, whether it's my book or whatever, because they have some great ideas. But for instance, this card on YouTube means you're stuck. You're stuck. They're stuck on you. That's not what the card means. It doesn't. It doesn't. This is a card of seeing things through a different eye, being still. Sometimes stasis is not a terrible thing. We have to be still and quiet so we can get a different perspective on things. So we can take in that the way we've been looking at things may need a shift in perspective.
Right. We may need to change our perspective.
Yes. And so to me, like, listen, maybe it's because I'm a grown up. I think there's some modern interpretations of tarot cards on YouTube that I kind of agree with. The Princess of Swords or Page of Swords. Yeah, sure, I'll buy that they're looking at your social media. But I don't love on YouTube that the three of anything means it's a third party. It doesn't. What I want you to do with the book is use your intuition to figure out what that card means, because a 3 does not always mean there's an interloper in your relationship. If it's a relationship question, it doesn't. So what we need, and what I would love, is for people to have like a little bit of basis in what they're talking about before they go talk about it. Now, Cree, as she said, you've been studying for 2 years. What do you think you know now about tarot that you didn't in the beginning?
Wow, what a great question. What I think I know now about tarot is I trust myself now about tarot.
Oh, you trust your intuition,
you mean? I trust my intuition. You know, I think when you're first starting, you need True Heart Tarot, because you need to get all the information about each card that you can. And then I believe what happens is, as you evolve in your own personal practice, you start to really get meanings of these cards as they pertain to you and your situation. And it gets very, very personalized now for me, my readings. You know, even spreads, you know, if there's something I see far off in a corner and it's supposed to mean this in this position, and maybe I've said it wrong 3 times and I really like my interpretation of that position, I change it.
That's fair enough.
You know, I've changed that position to mean I have one position in your spread that I just call who's meddling in my business position. And that who's meddling in my business position, that's what it's become. I've made it so. And guess what? It informs me that way.
Well, and one of the things I want to kind of segue into is I've noticed with this book, right, that a lot of my Black peers are not talking to me at all about it online, because I think there is a misconception. First of all, they don't know there's memoir essays, which we're going to get to later, but there's a misconception around tarot, especially among my Black brothers and sisters, that it is untoward or out of alignment with Christ consciousness.
Or that it is a cult. I mean, there's a ridiculous belief that it's an occult practice.
One thing I like to say is, listen, when you look on, say, the Tower card, that's the Tower of Babel. There are so many biblical references on tarot cards because they are trying to get you into God's light, basically. And the Tower card, for example, the Tower of Babel, do you guys know what that is? Because I've actually read the Bible, even though I'm not, like, you know, going to church and stuff. But I know the Tower of Babel is a tower that man built in his hubris to go up to heaven and talk to God whenever he wanted. And God was like, no, thank you. Destroyed the tower and changed everyone's languages so they couldn't speak the same language. Thus the word Babel. So when I see a tower card, I see the Tower of Babel and the enlightenment or destruction that can come from your ego. So when we talk about Black people and tarot, I get why, you know, the 80s and all the fear around esoteric stuff, sort of, you know, and before that. But the truth is, when you think about a lot of your Black preachers in the South who are divining and speaking in ways where it's not really the same as in a standard church, right? Are they not doing something that is also a little odd? The Bible is also full of people talking about connecting to God in different ways. So to me, when I talk about in the book, connecting with your higher self, that's my way of saying God, I suppose. Some of you would say, what I love tarot cards for is that they clear away some of the noise and the subterfuge so that you can hear God or hear your higher thoughts and then start acting in alignment with them to get the things you want. What do you think, Cree Summer?
I really agree with you. I mean, I think it's a shame that it's been shoved into this occult, satanic, anything dark around tarot always makes me sad, because I always think I equate it to like the Bible. You know, sometimes you're at home and you open a Bible and you get a passage, and that one passage that day, it just informs you. It says, maybe I'll pay attention to my ego that day. Maybe I'll be kinder today. And I have to tell you that tarot connects me the same way. when I do a spread and it informs me, it says, hey, today, watch your big mouth today, or it might say, hey, today, pay attention to how you're affecting people today. And I don't see anything that could possibly be evil about awakening someone's consciousness about how to behave in the world. I don't get it. And I denounce it. And
Me too.
I know that tarot and divining and all of this has existed years and years before we ever got here. And I trust the magic. Magic never scared me. It's never scared
Magic
me.
never
It's only,
scared me either. And here's
magic
the other
never
thing:
scared me.
these are just paper.
They're just cards, for the love of Jesus. They can't do nothing to you. They
Yeah,
can't
some
hurt you,
people are
baby.
like, I won't touch it. It's evil.
I know,
I'm like,
I know. People go, I don't mess with that. That's the devil's work. And I think, well, okay, but
I think,
I could have told you what was happening at work.
that's right. And also, I think going to church and sitting up there in the front pew and then going and cheating on your wife and talking shit about people, that's evil.
Well, and someone here just said, Tori just said, some read playing cards. Yeah. I mean, you got grandmas in the Appalachians and all, and my family that comes from Bogalusa, Louisiana, or my family on the Indian reservation. There was always throwing bones or throwing runes or doing something. But I want to get into something very important to me.
Wait, before we, I just want to say this, that by the way, black people and ethnic people quite often went to the soothsayer or the card reader in the neighborhood because we didn't go to doctors and we didn't have shrinks. So this is a long tradition here. Sorry to interrupt, girl.
Oh, no, I think it's a beautiful thing to say. And it's like having your own shrink. This book can be, trust me, the cards can be your shrink.
I say it on the
and you're
back.
Right, there's nothing wrong with the devil card. Somebody just said, ain't nothing wrong with the devil card.
It's a shrink. To
card
me, tarot is a shrink in a box and a
back
spiritual Xanax. That's the truth. And for the person who said that, Cree and I were talking about this last night. Listen, you don't want to get bogged down in heavy devil energy, right? The low vibe, but the high vibe of that card, because there is a high vibe to every
high
card.
Vibe of the devil.
And a low vibe.
A good time. That's a good time.
Right. A bacchanalian good time is how I describe it in the book. Now, if we did that 365 days a year, you'd be dead. So, you know, that's
you can't devil all week, but you can get it in on the weekend.
Another thing I mentioned in the book about the devil card is it's in high vibe. Let's say you live in a small town and maybe you're questioning your sexuality, right? And that goes against the norm of that town. So the devil card could come up because you are breaking the chains of the things you've been shackled.
You could be getting out of something. And the devil card can be a liberating card. It doesn't have to be a condemnation. I agree. But let's get off the devil.
All right.
I don't want to wear him out.
Yeah, girl. No, because it's not about those heavy negative cards. We just know there's probably some brown people in here. And I just want to reiterate that cardboard cards ain't going to kill you.
So I just wanted to talk a little bit about this book, baby, because I'm so proud of you, sis. You didn't just write a book. You've got a deck of cards, but it's even beyond that. You've created something I've never seen before. It's a hybrid. It's this weird half-breed, pun intended.
Like us.
It's this weird half and half where you have your cards, you have your interpretations of your cards, and then you have my favorite thing, and that is your personal essays, which are so beautifully written. And I just, first of all, before we get into any of that, what made you create this weird hybrid? What the fuck were you thinking?
Well, to be honest, I started off thinking I was going to write a script. A script. Okay. That's what the idea in the the kernel of Genesis for me was a script. And then I was approached actually by a few lit agents to write a book. And I thought, well, I'm an avid reader. I used to read a book a day and I was tested for comprehension and passed. Those white teachers were surprised. So I thought, yes, I very much want to write a book. And I'm glad you're bringing it up, and even the essays, because I've noticed it's getting lost in the mix that there's a book in here for the price.
I think people have never seen it before. They're probably like, what is it? Because it is really your own new creation. So, I'm sure, you're the trailblazer here.
Well, I'm going to give credit where credit is due. There was another author who's interested in tarot. Her book is very different, but an author called Michelle T. sort of did, she's an essayist and an author, did essays around tarot and her travel. Very different than what I've done. But so there's that. And that is probably where the genesis was like, we could go further. And I do believe that illuminating the 22 major arcana cards in here, each with a personal essay. So that's 22 essays about my life for you nosy DMers. But also,
and she does spill the tea, y'all. You get some good tea.
I do. And the other thing is, I had to, during the writing, but let's just talk about being a writer for a second, right? Because I'm used to acting and performing and somebody giving me something to hide behind. When I'm writing these personal memoir essays, I couldn't hide behind anything. And I even had to get real correct with myself, because I was like, if you're going to write a how-to book and you're going to be truthful in these essays, you have to be okay with who you are and what you are, so that when you reveal something,
and all your business is in the street, baby, you put it there, your damn self.
well, not all.
I'll call you later.
But quite a bit of it is in there. I talk about being in foster care when I was a kid, because I wanted that in there, because so many people, when they meet me, are like, oh, you're to the manor born, aren't you? And I'm like, everybody has a story that you don't know. Each and every one of us, everyone on this feed, has a story that is deep and interesting and that nobody really knows helps shape you. So I talk about being in foster care. I talk about some great things that happened in my life, but some difficult things, because honestly, if I only wrote, and then I went to a Vanity Fair Oscar party and sat next to a handsome insert A-level movie star's name and we danced all night, that's fine, but it's not really going to help you guys understand the cards, or understand that these cards can be so helpful for self-soothing. I talk about the difficult times in my life in this book, because tarot was a part of helping me come to grasp with what was happening, and explain to me how to shift me out of that place I was in, because some of the essays are real happy and some are real heavy.
Well, let's talk about it, because I want to get into it. It's not just some are happy, some are sad. I mean, the real thing is these essays each specifically pertain to a card, so that we can get a deepening into the understanding of the card and to how tarot correlates to our lives. And I wanted to just talk about some of one of the essays that rocked my world. I loved your essay about the moon. Is one of my very favorites, because I don't know about the fans out there if y'all have read the essays, but come on and crack the essays. They're so beautiful. But the one about the moon is about you when you were a kid, and you were She-Ra, doing your She-Ra in the bathroom.
No, I was
Almighty
Isis, Dinah girl.
Almighty Isis, right? And you got recruited by this little chick named Maria, and her other little friends named Maria, who were worshiping the devil.
No, these kids, listen, you guys, in fourth grade, there were some Santeria kids, I think.
Santeria kids, right?
Yeah. And they were all named Maria, all of them.
All the Marias. And the reason this essay freaked me out, because it's literally the craft. You, as a kid, were in a coven. You got hijacked into a coven. And
no, I didn't.
Something, and you didn't know what the hell was going on. And then you and your little friend said, you know what, this is too deep for us. We're getting out of here. But there, to me, was something, such a premonition story. You know what I mean? Where you were literally getting ready for one of your biggest gigs, unbeknownst to you.
Well, part of why it's interesting that you brought that essay up, because you would think the moon represents intuition, right? The unknown, psychic connections, and also the low vibe would be getting lost in your own delusions and fantasies too.
Right.
So this essay is kind of a little bit of both, because I sort of lived my life in a fantasy world. It's in the essay, but just to give you a little hint, me and my friend would, during every lunch hour in New York City, we'd watch all these shows at night, and then the next day at lunch hour, we'd spend all day daydreaming about them instead of paying attention to the teacher. And then we'd go, oh girl, I went to Bora Bora with my boyfriend on SWAT. He took me, we got married in Bora Bora, and we have 2 kids. And then she would tell me who she married off her favorite TV show.
I love that.
And it was our imagination and our it was our imagination. It never really slipped quite into full-on delusion. But I think I included that in there because there are some people who live completely in a fantasy world, right? Yeah. I was bound and determined to take that fantasy world that lived so vividly in my head and A, be an actor, B, be a writer, be an artist, you know? And another essay that I think people might be confused why I wrote about love, a big love relationship I had when I was younger under Cree's card, the Hangman.
Under the Hangman.
It is under the Hangman, and I really thought about it because you would assume that, of course, if you're going to write an essay about a great love from youth who I'm still very good friends with, you would put it under lovers. But the lovers card is also about a choice, right? Which it could have fit under there. But when I was trying to decide if I was going to date this very fabulous, handsome cat, but my intuition said to me, you're probably not going to marry this guy. He's European, he's this, he's probably going to go back, ... We had a very intense connection, though. So I am a Victorian lady who doesn't really like to date someone unless I know they're serious about me, even at that age. And maybe we have a chance at getting married in the future. No, I know. It sounds so ridiculous that at 20 or 22, I was like this, but I was. And I really had to think hard and long because I knew that it wasn't going to last forever. So I pulled some cards, and one of them was a Hangman, which told me that it may be temporary, right? I'm not going to stay in this position forever. It may be a temporary thing I go through, but it will shift my perception of myself in the world. And that was very, very true. He's still a huge relationship, not romantic at all, but a huge person in my world. And that is because he helped shift my perspective on a lot of things. And to this day, by the way, he's still one of my biggest champions. So I think that's kind of why I chose, because a card like this that most people are like, that just means staying still, or they're not moving, or they're stuck on you. Because again, not to harp too much on YouTube, but Cree and I used to talk about YouTube readings, and here's my deal with them. There's some good readers on there. There's some card sharks on there too. But the truth is, learn to do your own cards. The whole
learn
set,
to do your own cards.
But like the whole set
changed my life.
Include the deck, right? And has the full size book is the same price as what you pay for just a deck on other decks without a book. And for that price,
I have to call the savages. I'm sorry. I'm running. Everybody knows I'm Amish 2000. I'm running out of juice. And the only people that will know how to charge this damn thing are the savages. Un momento.
You go do your thing.
Brave and hero. Brave. Oh, this is awful. Let me turn my. How do I mute myself? I'm just worried that. Oh, I hear little feet. Brave.
Yeah. You do. How about turn your volume down for a second? Talk to them and I'll talk. Okay. But we'll get her back. Don't worry. We just don't want to lose her because her feed's going. But this is why I brought up that, like, one of Cree's favorite cards is a card that other people hate to get. For instance, I spoke about when I was first starting out on Ladies and Gentlemen. Yo, you gonna plug this in for your mama or what?
But can I tell the story today when you were? This is the wrong chart. So Hero picked up the box for True Heart Tarot, and she said, "Oh, this is cute," and she flipped it over, and she said, "Is that Auntie Rachel?" I said, "It is," and she said, "She wrote a book, didn't you?"
No, you wanted me to.
Oh, what did you say? You don't remember? I thought you were telling Brave, look, she wrote a book.
I know.
But listen, I'm going to back that up with
I thought I was there.
I'm going to back that up with I'm still impressed I wrote a book, because as an avid reader, as someone who goes to Book Soup all the time, or used to get books and things, to me, it is just a lifelong dream come true to write a book. And, to be able to say author as well as actor, as well as, like, I made a shirt the other day, so I am an artist. Yo, Brave, did you plug it in?
Listen, thank God for Brave, because if I didn't have children, I'd have no technology.
And the children will lead us. Yo,
and the children will lead us, child.
Thank you, children.
Broads don't know what the hell is going on. I am a straight technotard. I don't know what the hell's going on. All right, we made it. We're back.
We did. Thanks, ladies. I get to live vicariously. I get to live vicariously through Cree with the kids, right? Because another thing I talk about in the essays, by the way, is a lot of people will say to me, "Oh, what happened? We didn't see you on TV for a while." Well, after Half and Half ended, I had a major illness and a surgery and da-da-da-da-da. So I kind of talk about a little bit of that in the book too, for some of you ladies, women who might be going through the same lady stuff. I kind of go through, again, some of the great ups and the great downs. I talk about when I booked Half and Half, which, by the way, is coming on Netflix at midnight tonight, I think.
No, you've got all your planets are going full blast. You got Half and Half coming back, right? The Craft. The Craft remake is coming back, which is going to make us all go back and watch the OG.
The Craft, the original Craft is always huge on.
The original Craft is huge at Halloween, and then you've got this deck. And let's not forget, for those that love the TV show Better Things, Rachel has a beautiful spot on Better Things that she just nails. Just
That's
talking
very
about
sweet of you.
being a woman. No, but I just think that everybody should know that you are one hell of a two of discs, and you act and you write, and
But
you,
that's
you
why.
know,
But that's why I feel comfortable. I said this to one of my peers the other day, that when a director I work with, I said, when I was younger, I thought, I'm an actor. You know I'm an actor. I act. I go to auditions and I act. But
Right.
the truth is, I never felt comfortable as a 21-year-old calling myself an artist, right? It felt really pretentious, like only pretentious or painters. But now something I've realized, having come through many ups and downs and many great things in my life and many TV shows and writing a book and communing with you, Cree, is we are artists.
In
That is what-
everything. I mean,
But in everything
but you're
we
artistic.
do.
You can't even go for a walk without making a short film. I mean, it
That's
just
true.
comes out of your pores, and that's why I have to say this is an authentic expression of my sister. For those of you out there, this really is you, and you were so honest, and you were so raw about your mama and your daddy and your brother Rock. God rest his soul, and just there's something about the hybrid of the essays and the thorough I'm going to say definitions for those out there that don't know what I mean when I say interpretations. All those things together, if I was coming to tarot for the first time, I would get it. I wish I had this when I first came to tarot.
That's the point. I set out to try
I
to
didn't
write
have
that kind
this
of
book. I didn't have this thorough information. I had to mash up an amalgam of information from everywhere. It's all here.
Yeah, I set out to write the kind of book that I would have loved. There were some great books when I was a kid, by the way. I had to find them, Mary Kay Greer, Starhawk, but there wasn't one that kind of encompassed all this, right? And that is what I wanted to do, design a book that was great for beginners, but also had a lot of information that was relevant for practice people, right? Because one thing I know is I am always studying tarot. I've written a book and I'm still studying tarot.
Yeah.
So for those of you who think you got it all figured out, okay. But one thing I know is I love learning. And interesting, I'm going to jump in. We're going to answer some questions later.
Oh yeah, we got. But I just wanted to do.
No, we're not even at the questions yet.
Oh, we're
I'm
not
just
even at the
jumping in
questions
and
yet, but I
saying
gotta
one
do
thing.
that. Where is it? I
think people.
Look at that. Look how cute you are.
Oh my
Look how
God! Did you guys?
You are.
For those of you who have the deck already, I'm going to say this: it's not weird being the Empress on my own deck. Here,
One
I'll
of my
show
favorite
you.
essays is the Empress essay by.
You know what? I genuinely really like the Empress essay myself. Now, the essays are tough. There's the interpretation or definition for the Empress, which is about a page. The majors get a little more space, page and a half. And then there's no definition, so you can see where my essay starts, but the essay starts after that. And in the Empress essay, I talk about my mother, because I was, again, like I said, in foster care from 9 months to 4. So that creates those are very big, strong bonding years and learning, from being a mama. Who am I talking to? So I talk a bit about my stepmother who raised me, who was, and my real mother and my dynamic with that. I also, in the Emperor essay, I talk about a certain gentleman who ate pudding pops that we both used to work for, but forget him.
He who shall not be named.
He who shall not be named. But I talk about my experience on that set that will not be named, but it's named in the book. But then I also talk about my own father, because one thing Cree Summer and I have in common, for those of you out there who are also listen, I'm Black girl. That's what I call myself, a mixed Black Jewish chick.
Well,
sometimes.
I think, people always say you're a mixed race, and that always gets on my nerves because no one has ever mistaken me for white in any way.
Yeah.
And when you want to talk about where you feel,
listen, let me just put this out. Let me just say that her father is white, as was my dad, and both our fathers have unfortunately passed, but we both have these gorgeous, beautiful, very dark-skinned mothers.
Very dark-skinned mothers, yeah.
Both of us have that.
So my interpretation of beauty is very dark-skinned.
Actually,
most beautiful to me. Yeah.
Because our mother images were that. Yeah. So I go a little bit into my dynamic with my own father, who was bipolar. And listen, I got a lot of empathy for people who are bipolar, because when I was young, they didn't know what it was, right? They just called him crazy. And then once he eventually, years and years later, got on the right meds, he really balanced out. And I have so much empathy for people who cannot control their behavior, right? I'm not saying he wasn't a motherfuck to deal with, right? Because he was very violent at times, and I was hit and things. So we were hit a lot. Not a lot, but hit hard. And not even in that black mama way, in an angry white man way. So there's a difference, black people.
There sure as fuck is, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Because if people are like, no, your mama hit you, big deal. No, it's so a little different. And then I also talk about something my dad said on his deathbed that made me very uncomfortable as far as being a black child of a white person. And that is, I mean, I hope you'll read the book to find it out. But, you know, we never, ever, ever said the N-word in my household the whole time growing up, ever, right? So then on my dad's deathbed, he kept asking me how much money I was making. And I didn't tell him because it was none of his goddamn business because he didn't pay for college or anything. But yeah, people don't tell people your salaries. But anyway, he's literally on his deathbed. You know, he's going to die in a few days. And I thought, I'll tell him. And this white man turned to me and said, don't spend your money nigger rich. And, you know, these are things that I think mixed. I put that in there because someone said, don't put it in. It's too harsh. And I was like, really? My own life experience is too harsh for my memoir. What I want to say, though, and why I'm talking about it is because Cree didn't have that experience with her dad. He was very loving. But
I had a
basically,
beautiful daddy.
yeah, no, her dad is very loving. But basically, why I'm bringing this up to say, I don't think I'm the only mixed black person in America. To think some of the things I thought, and the rest of my thoughts are in the essay. So, you know, I'm just bringing that up to say it's not just a tarot book, right? Yeah, we left the emperor white because he's got that manifest destiny bullshit going on. We all know that's the aging baby boomer who won't shut up. Anyway,
This dude just gets on my nerves. As soon as he shows up, I just get pissed every time I see this dude. He just encompasses all that white privilege to me, you know.
It kind of is. So we talk, you know, I do talk a bit about just being in the 90s and being the one black person in the white movies and how that was.
White girl's best friend.
Hey.
Hey.
Hey, Karen, how you doing? Hey, Karen, how are you? Are you okay, Karen? Are you Karen? Are you okay?
About you being, I mean, we were both always the white girl's best friend, but I love what you pointed out that your dialogue always has to be, are you okay?
Hey, Karen. Are you okay?
Are you okay?
Are you okay? Are you okay?
I want to address something too. I'm going to let that card fly because I shouldn't bend over. You see where I am. I want to address something too because a lot of people talk about tarot readers, especially, can be very particular about the way their decks feel and about the consistency of decks, if the cards are thick enough or whatever. But I want to say that what I've learned studying tarot is that the way your cards feel when you first start messing with them and loving them and getting to know them, the way they feel those first couple of days are not the way they're going to feel by day 10 when the oil from your hand and all the other things get into them. They're going to start getting bendy. They're going to start getting real delicious. The other thing
I wasn't even going to address that, but there is someone, like, listen, if you trash my writing, I'll never say a word because that's your opinion. If you trash the imagery, I can't say a word because that's your opinion. But if you go on a platform and give my deck a low score and say, I didn't even look through the whole deck because the cards were too thin, and say it's not worth the price, I think that's weird to me because there's a whole book in here, first of all. I wrote a book. Most decks are the price of my set for just the deck. And I wrote a whole book in here. Also, the artwork is stunning. So what I felt like my personal thing was, I don't care if you trash my actual work, but something I had no say over the width of the card stock.
But the width of the cards are beautiful. I mean, I didn't even bring it up to have this conversation. I brought it up just to let people know that, just to let newbies know that cards, like everything else, like a new pair of shoes and everything, you got to break shit in. You know, get to know these babies. These are going to be
cards too. Don't just go, oh no. Like, here's my thing. It's like I put so much energy into designing the cards. I literally wrote a second book. Basically, because I had to write up descriptions, pull artwork, give my concept to the artist who is in Canada, you know, so we weren't together. And for me, I'm really proud of this set, and I'm super proud of my work in the book. And I'm also proud of the imagery that I came up with, because I've shown this one on Instagram, and then we're going to get to your questions right now after this. But I showed this on Instagram because the 9 of Swords card, right? That was a card that used to scare me so much when it would pop up in the deck.
9 of Swords still scares me a little
But
bit.
no, let me explain something.
I know it's not scary, but I'm saying it. You know, it's like a. It's. I guess because I've experienced it so many damn times. You know.
Well, yeah, and that's what we were talking about earlier. Like Cree came to tarot through the
We
loss
lost
of
you,
something.
baby. We lost your visual, my sweet darling.
Oh, really? Am I still
Yeah.
gone?
I can't see you, babe. I can feel you, but I can't see you.
I'm here. Can
Hashtag
you
the
hear me?
feels tarot. I can hear you. I
Oh,
just
that's
can't see
so
you.
weird because I can see you. You guys can't see me at all?
Can you guys see Rachel? Am I the only one who can't see Rachel, or can?
Yes, I still see her.
Oh, you still see her? Okay, she just split for me. Oh, baby, you're gone.
You know what? That's fine because we're about to get to the questions, but I think the people can see me. And what I'm going to say
That's
is
all that matters. That's
that
all
my
that
Nine of
matters.
Swords card doesn't freak me out anymore like it used to when I first got into tarot because I thought, oh God, someone's going to stick swords in my head or it's going to hurt. Right. It's actually not. This card is a relief to me because it lets me know that the worst thing that's going on is the anxiety swirling around my brain.
Self-imposed.
Yes. Yes. Because most of us, listen, before we get to the questions, there's an epidemic of anxiety, right? And some people absolutely need meds to deal with that. But a lot of people in the end, we're just used to chewing on something over and over and over and thinking about it and thinking about it. And what I keep saying to some of my friends that resonated finally was, so, okay, you've done that your whole life, really obsessed over something for a solid week. I said, has it ever really helped the issue? Did it ever move it forward? Did it ever do anything? So what I use the cards for is to remind myself it is only anxiety.
Yeah.
Also, lastly, before any questions, what I want to say is I like spreads. I included 4 different spreads in my book because if the cards are let's say using a car analogy because I don't know anything about cars, but if the cards are the car, right? I'm in the car. The spreads are the map to where you're going. Like when you
can we talk about that mother piece spread?
Yes, I
It's
included in it.
on earth.
I've been trying to get Cree to do this spread forever because a lot of you use a Celtic cross or a modified Celtic cross. The mother piece deck is a wonderful deck into itself, and then they have a book, and they have this modified Celtic cross spread that is round. Take it away, Cree, because it's so informative, isn't it?
Oh, well, I just want to say what's so funny about studying tarot is I think there are degrees like in everything. You know, you crawl and then you walk and then you walk faster and then you run. And I started with the 3 card spread, like lots of people, past, present, and future. And then I moved up to a modified Celtic cross, then a real Celtic cross. And then you kept saying,
you're ready.
God damn it! Would you do a bigger spread? And I kept saying, I can't. Just
wait.
The anxiety. And
you know what else Cree does too? I got to text.
I'll get there.
All right.
I just want to say that the anxiety of approaching that big spread. And can I tell you, people, don't get intimidated by a big spread. It set me free because now with that mother piece spread, I feel like I get the whole story.
You don't have to pull any qualifiers if you actually do a spread. You don't have to pull 6 million cards like you see what does that one card mean? Use your intuition.
Use your intuition.
This is like, again, a difference. there's different styles in doing tarot, but my feeling is if you pull a card and you don't understand it, sit and think about it instead of pulling another card right away.
Yes. Give it a minute. I mean, you're so impatient, but you're right. You know, sometimes in the morning I'll do a spread and then I walk away and take care of some shit.
Wait, but what do you do in the meantime?
Well, then I come back and, you're going to call. She's putting me on Front Street, people, because sometimes when I am lazy, I will do a spread and then I'll take a picture of it and then I send it to Rachel, Babyface Pirate.
And the first few I broke down for her. I was like, this is what it means.
How does this look to you? Because I want you to fucking tell me what it means. I don't want to do...
Which I did. The first few ones, I put a whole paragraph. This is what it means. And finally, I was like, she ain't telling me what she thinks it means. So instead, I would write back, what do you think it means? And then she'd get annoyed.
Nothing infuriates me more than when you write back, what do you think it means? I mean, I could just, that shit.
I could feel it from here.
Thwart it again.
I could feel it from here, but I also thought, maybe she'll write it down now. She wants me to write it down. She won't write it down.
Oh, shit. What do you think it means?
Yeah, but only because she was ready. I knew that, she could decipher most of her own spreads. And that was me saying, well, not so much, encouraging you, but like kicking you out of the nest.
Yeah.
You're going to fly,
And
baby
listen,
bird.
thank God you did, because those were probably the spreads I didn't want to look at and check out. It was just, it was meant to be. Yeah.
So again, I so appreciate my friend who was there during a lot of the process, during me calling and crying on the phone if something wasn't going right, or happy that something was going right, or just saying I couldn't go to social events because I had to stay home and write and actually finish my book, and being a mature.
You were such a growed up. You were really
I had to be a
grown up about it. I mean, because I was inviting you to some good shit, and you would say, "Mama's got to work." And listen, this is also why I'm so proud of you. It is a profoundly huge, glorious, deep accomplishment to write a book, and then when you kick in all these goddamn cards and all their interpretations, plus a book, it is really, really impressive, sister. And it's not because I love you. I do love you, but that's not why I say it. I say it because I'm impressed independent of you.
Well, I hope if nothing else, we've shown people that there's girl power out there too, right? Because I think having some great women friends to support me is
it don't hurt. Yeah.
It doesn't hurt at all. And it's also amazing to have just the communion with females who are supportive of one another, who will read. She's one of my friends who actually read my book. All right. So anyway, I think we're ready to take some questions.
We're going to answer some questions.
But the monitor's going to do that. But also, just so you guys know, there's a button up on top where you can purchase the signed copy of the book.
Oh yeah, get a signed copy. That's it's always so fancy. I like it.
Because Book Soup is the only place I know that is going to have signed copies right now. All right, so take it away, moderator, with any questions if you want to jump in.
There's our moderator, darling.
Hello, moderator.
Retrograde. We'll see. Cue the moderator.
Is she there?
Rachel, do you want?
There she is.
Do you want me to go from the top, or do you want to look through them and pick them out too?
We don't know. Why don't you just?
Because we have them voted up.
Oh, okay.
Okay, I think some of them have been answered already, but I'll go from the top one.
Okay.
So this one's from Megan, and she says, "Can you pull a card for us tonight from your tarot deck? I just found out today that my childhood friend passed away, and it's been a rough day."
Oh my gosh. Oh my. Yeah.
That's a hard one. I'm very sorry to hear that. I think that's why I wrote about my brother's death in the book, because he was 28 and very healthy, and it's one of the greatest tragedies. I think what I'm going to say, because it's an odd card that pulled up, and I could be an asshole and pull a different one right now, but I'm going to go with the one I pulled.
Do it.
And I'm going to tell you why. It's a major arcana. It's devil card, right? So I don't know what happened in the situation with your friend, right? I'm not going to get into that. What I will say, though, at least what I pick up in terms of this card and why maybe this would come up, again, I don't know what the situation was over there with the passing, but I think when I get the devil card on something like this, it is a reminder for me not to go to a dark place. Seriously, though, not to go into a place because a lot of the times, we lose someone, we lose our faith, right, in God. Or we lose our faith in our friends or ourselves. So I think it's when I see this, it is a reminder not to slip into that. I mean, you can always question why, right? That's a valid thing to do. It is the hardest thing. What I do know is we're all a part of the Wheel of Fortune. And there are days, I've never really been someone who's feared death, but all of a sudden now that I'm more of a grown-up, I've kind of realized time is finite. Time is finite. It's really scary. And I get in fear about that a little bit now. And I didn't used to. So I think that's why picking up a little bit of the fear energy. But also I think, like I said, I rather not just pull cards random willy-nilly for people without actually communing with their energy, to be 100% honest. It's not a parlor card trick, right? It's an energy exchange. It's not a parlor card trick, and I don't know her. I'm not talking to her. I'm just seeing her thing. If I talk to her, I could pick up her energy more. So honestly, I don't know, but I wonder if something was going on
And
like,
also,
I was
that
actually
being
reading,
said, our condolences to you.
very
We're
much
sorry
so.
for your
There is
loss.
nothing worse than losing someone we care about. I think we try to hold their memory with us. So, and honor them in any way we can, right? We do a little ceremony to honor them. But that's a heavy thing. That's why I always say tarot cards work amazingly in tandem with therapy. They're beautiful to talk to a therapist, because that's really my advice when you suffer a heartache like that, right? And the loss of a friend, you want to make sure that you're able to talk about how you're feeling and release those feelings so the anger of the loss isn't stored in you.
Thank you. That was beautiful. Beautiful. And this one's from Kendra. Which card do you feel represents you most and why?
Cree, you go first.
Child, I am a page of cups, child. I'm probably a page of cups, because, or maybe I'm a page of wands, but I'm definitely, I think I'm a page of cups because I love clothes. I love clothes so much. I'm obsessed with fashion. I have a saying, lack of style can be fatal. And when
She has judged me sometimes, I'm not gonna lie.
So
because I'll show up in any old shit and she's like, you're wearing that?
By the way, you look beautiful today.
No,
Thank you.
She's actually
the
really...
page of cups looks like a dandy. All the finery and the freedom of all the just expression of the page of cups, I'd say. That's
But
probably
your
the
art
one.
does come out in your clothing. Part of her artistic self comes out in that. I'm going to jump in and just answer one question I saw earlier, because someone said, and listen, we can have many interpretations of cards, but someone said the devil card is also about rebirth. I kind of disagree, to be honest. I think the death card is a rebirth card.
Thank you.
The death card in tarot is not so much death as in personal ego death, so we may transform ourselves.
Now, what card describes you the best?
Oh,
I know what it is. I know what it is.
No, you don't actually.
I do.
Wait, tell me what card you would have picked for me, because I picked a different one today.
I would have picked the High Priestess.
I do agree. No, but I picked a different one only because I'll explain it. But the High Priestess makes a lot of sense for me. I went on a whole journey with this book, and also had to learn as a big mouth chick, the High Priestess knows when to shut the F up sometimes.
Yes. How about that?
I've really learned from her. No, it's true, Cree. But no, the High Priestess is a card that used to actually freak me out as a kid. I write about it in the book, and I say how, because my little 70s image of the High Priestess was Disney, which was the patriarchy wasn't really down with feminism at that time. So all the images of witches were old, disgusting hags and crones.
And look at us now.
Look at us now. Hey.
So what describes you now, Miss Thing?
I'm surprised I didn't pick the High Priestess, but the truth is, this is a card inspired by one of my favorite artists that I picked.
So you would say the Lovers?
I would say the Lovers is me right now, not because of lovers, but because the Lovers card is about a choice, right? That's actually what the card used to be known as, because when we think about lovers, you have to make a choice to join together, right? You have to make a choice. And this is the same couple that's on the Devil's card, basically.
Yeah, it's the same too. It's the same too.
That's when their choices went not so great.
But the Lovers also makes me think about falling in love with myself.
Yes, that's why I picked the Lovers, but also because falling in love with myself, because honestly, you guys, this is going to make me sound like an asshole, but I like myself so much as I grow up. I like myself.
You're my kind of asshole, you know that?
You're my kind of asshole.
Thank you, darling.
But I like myself better because I'm more confident, more secure. I understand myself a lot more. I'm less, racked with fear and anxiety. So, and I, had a health thing that affected how I look for a lot of my life. And so I kind of think, oh, I'm old now, but now I see what I am supposed to look like. But
with this old shit. We don't call you baby face pirate for nothing. Baby, the goddess loves you. Let me tell you,
baby face pirate from the island of Luang. But part of why I love this, part of why I picked this card too is I talk about this a little bit in the book, that because of probably my background, certain things, I, love and finding my man and romantic love. I've had some great loves, but I haven't found my person. And I think that was a bit of a choice for me to lock up my heart after a while. So now I'm making a choice to be open to the men's.
Get your Princess of Wands on.
That I'm, You know, that I'm
Yeah.
attracted to. I'm going to try to be less of a Victorian lady. Okay, anyway, next question.
Next.
Okay, this is a good one. I just have to find it again. Okay, here. This is from James. You've both been vocal supporters of the LGBTQIA. Oh, it just disappeared. 1 second. Here we go. Community for decades. What would you say to young folks now who are facing an uncertain future as hard-won rights are in danger of being stripped away?
Wow. Well, I wouldn't have the audacity to speak on behalf of the LGBTQ community. I can only speak about how the rights of all of us are being taken away. I can speak about how my rights as a brown woman are being taken away. Anybody with tits right now is in danger of losing the opportunity to have an abortion. Anybody that's got pre-existing illness or is older is in grave danger of losing their health care. LGBTQ are in danger of just getting their basic fucking rights. And don't even get me started on the indigenous. That's it.
We're not going to get her started.
There. Yeah.
But because there's some, listen, it's a really good question, but the truth is, I think every generation that comes up, right, deals with some kind of adversity. And you, as the new generation of LGBTQ, are dealing with this layer of it. My friends who were coming up in the 80s and the 80s were dealing with AIDS, right? Ravaging the gay male community of New York City, in which I lived in, or the 90s, where a friend of mine, Calpurnia Adams, was a soldier and couldn't tell anyone that she was gay. And then she's trans too, by the way. There's a whole movie made about her life. And so each generation, I guess is what I'm trying to say, comes up against the ugly truth that you are not necessarily considered as desirable to a certain baby boomer section. So what I say is vote. You know, the apathy.
Oh, for the love of Jesus, let's vote.
I know so many people who say, well, what's the point in voting? I don't care. Like, I get you may not like these two candidates, but pick the one that doesn't turn your stomach and get out there and vote for the lawmakers. Start at a grassroots level. Figure out who your council person is. Figure out who that, because if you start backing your council person now who may run for Congress or the Senate, that's how it starts. You figure out who you want to vet and follow and bring up the chain. Because to me, and I shouldn't even say it, but I think it's insane that this justice has 3 years. If I didn't know you could be a Karen and be able to be nominated as a Supreme Court justice after only 3 years. I have been in the tarot world, and I would not have written this book if I didn't have minimum 3 decades plus knowledge to write this. And I'm still a student. So that's kind of unfair. But, you know, use your rights. Exercise your rights everywhere you can. That's what I say to anyone. And know that this is a part of being a human, is realizing, listen, as a Black person, it does not feel good to be in America. And no, I am not valued. But I don't let that get me down, because look at me, I'm fabulous. So if someone says I'm not valued, I'm like, you ain't got no taste. And it's also, I'm making light of it, but not really, because obviously any one of us could be targets of violence for we looking different or being different. All I say is, when you are a trailblazer and a forerunner, you are quite often looked at in a side-eye look. So anyway, good luck.
Yeah. Okay, this one's from Kendra. And she says, what's your opinion on oracle cards, and would you ever create one?
I actually, listen, I think any form that works for people. Cree turned me on to the fairy deck that I love. It's more of an oracle deck. It's
Brian's Brood. It's an oracle deck. Yeah.
Yeah. Its cards are thinner than mine. And I love it because it's got all these, you remember the Squashed Fairy book from about 20 years ago? That was that. Anyway, it's the fairies on that. So I like that. I personally have always just been connected and attracted to tarot because it made sense to my little brain as a child. You know, I talk about it in the book, how I got into tarot and got my first deck around 8. So anyway, you can read the book for all that stuff. Great. Would you do an oracle deck?
I love oracle decks. I mean, I just feel like they're different than tarot. I kind of let the oracle deck tell me what it wants to tell me. I don't really ask it questions.
Yeah.
Whereas the tarot deck, I ask it questions. Yeah. But the oracle deck, I just kind of let it tell me what it wants. I don't, do anything to it, really.
That's true because
I have
with
a different
tarot,
approach. I have a different
with
approach.
tarot, I'm usually asking a very specific question, and because we have the people archetypes in there and all these things that relate to the hero's journey. Because that's why I
someone
put
wrote
the
Lady Coddington's fairy book. Yeah, it's
yeah.
beautiful.
But
Lady
that's
Coddington's
why
beautiful.
that's why I put the memoir essays in there, because each and every one of us is on our own hero's journey, right? And that is showing my hero's
somebody
journey.
child shade. I'm gonna take your idea right to the bank, motherfucker. Don't be throwing shit smart as that out there. Shade is genius. I have my new business partner. Shade said an oracle deck based on all of Cree's animated characters. Ka-ching.
You know what?
Shade.
Yes.
Yeah,
And
it's
I'm doing an Instagram live at 4 p.m. on Friday with my friend Raja from Drag Race, who won Drag Race, and he's got an oracle deck.
I
His
love
face,
Raja.
oh my God, I love him. He's
Talk
such a
about
lovely
style.
Talk about you. Actually, you got to meet Raja at some point when we meet people again.
I met Raja as a fangirl in the audience.
No, I was.
Well, I
Raja
didn't really
in
meet
there?
him, but I was going, Raja!
No, I love
Look how
Raja.
thirsty she is. You
Oh,
know
I
what
didn't know she was in here. I love Raja. She's
Yeah.
a very, very sweet person. I'm sorry I'm giving away your secret that you're nice, but also totally stunning. And Raja has an oracle deck where he's on. Is it every card?
He's
Raja?
every card.
I believe. Which I was like, you go, girl, you go.
It's
And
an oracle deck.
you go. But the other thing is, Raj and I, the reason we're doing the live is because he doesn't have a book with their deck, and my book is applicable for almost any deck. That's the truth. If it's a tarot system, you can use.
100%. I actually used your deck with another set of cards. Your book with another set of cards.
Awesome.
It's perfect.
But no, Friday 4 p.m. for me and Raja. Don't miss it.
All right, let's get some more questions because we're gonna.
Yeah.
Let's see if we can tighten up because you and I are so fucking long-winded. So we can get some more questions.
Who are you calling long-winded? Usually our phone calls are just us monologuing at each other.
I know. God bless.
All right, wait, a few more questions, like a couple more, and then we got to split.
All right. This one's from Mimi. You might have already touched on this, but in case you have anything to add, what was the catalyst that made you decide to write your memoir?
Oh, well, when we were talking about, how to do basically a tarot book, because honestly, I didn't think the world needed my memoir at this particular time.
I disagree. Go on, but I disagree.
No, what I mean is, like, I would love to write a memoir autobiography when I'm old, right? I'm old, but when I'm super old. So that's all I mean by the world didn't need one.
When we're old as hell.
Right.
Because we're already fucking old.
Right. Lady. Anyway.
Lady.
Hey, lady. So part of
all right.
part of wanting to tell the story of the tarot was my lit agent was actually really instrumental in coming up with, there's a lot of tarot books out there, and one way to illuminate the cards better, and everyone asks you questions about your life all the time, is to do that. So I'm going to give my lit agent, Tom, who's fabulous, a little bit of credit for helping me come up with the concept of what the book would be, rather than just a deck or just a book. Anyway, all right, next question. There, I was brief as I could be, Cree.
As short as a fucking freeway. Yeah.
Pot, kettle, black.
Did someone say pot? All right, let's go.
This one's from Bronx Witch. She says, first of all, thanks for sharing this project with us and making a deck that is so soft and comfortable to hold and shuffle. Cheers to that. Can you describe the process of designing the deck and communicating your visions to the illustrator?
Why are you laughing, Cree? Cree's the only person, by the way, that I was in a bubble by myself in this whole pandemic. Besides my sister and my guy, Cree is the only person I've seen.
Oh my God. Can I tell you, getting to this deck wasn't fucking easy. And I commend you. You basically went to Nam. But I'm just going to say objectively.
Okay.
Is that you fought for what you wanted. You fought for your art. And in the end, your deck is magnificent. But part of the reason is because you really fucking went in there and fought.
Well,
I'm proud of you.
The publishers did, I think, a beautiful job at this.
A beautiful
set, right?
job.
I really think they did. They're known for their known for their pretty books. The one thing that was interesting for me in doing it, like as you can see, the way Cree and I are together, like I'm very and hands on and all, and the artist is not at all. I think I scared her.
You're such a delicate. If you were a flower, you'd be baby's breath.
I did. I did scare her. She's so talented. She's just she's an air sign kind of energy, right? And I'm like, "Whoa!" And so is Cree. So you would have scared her too. But super talented. So basically the process was, because I wanted to go and brainstorm with her in person, and that just wasn't the way that it went down. So I had to write up briefs for the cards. I pulled artwork, like the sun card, for example. You can't really see, even if I showed you, you couldn't see, but there's little hands in the sun, and that's from an Egyptian picture from about 4,000 or 5,000 years ago. I found a stone relief. So I pulled all the artwork, and then I would write up, I would like this. I would like a person standing on a planet. It will be like the little print, or something like that. I would write up I wrote up a whole nother book, like a novelette at least, for her to be sent on to her. She would then do a pass. Oh yeah, you can't, it's hard to tell, but those little things coming off the sun are little hands. And that is, again, I just did a lot of research along with my tarot knowledge to put in the cards. But so they would send her, the artist, the brief. Stephanie, who is so talented, I think her work is so gorgeous. They'd send her the brief, then they would talk to her, and she would send the artwork to them. They would send it to me. I would go yay or nay, and we go through a couple passes. Now, I was supposed to get one more pass at the end, which didn't happen because of COVID. But that's okay, because I think you kind of have to roll with things, right? Even if you're like, what? You got to roll with it. And I think we created a beautiful deck out of that synergy that we had. I think if I did another deck, though, I would prefer to hole up for a week with them and just, get high and talk cards. But that will be for the next project, because I would like to do another deck, by the way. This, I think, is a really lovely advanced people can use it to read with. I've had a lot of advanced readers tell me they love the way it reads, but it's easy enough for beginners to understand, and the advanced people start to see the layers that are in the imagery. So that's how the deck went down.
Can I ask a question? I want to talk about something I don't know if people know. Well, I guess, of course, the advanced tarot readers, but you have in your book dedicated to Pamela Coleman Smith. Can you tell everybody about Pamela Coleman Smith? Because I think it's a beautiful dedication, baby.
Oh, thank you so much. And that's such a good question, because I meant to bring that up. So Pamela Coleman Smith was the artist on the original Rider-Waite Smith deck, which is generally
What color was she?
She was a mixed chick.
She was brown,
mixed,
baby.
And and at that time she was a bit of a bohemian, right? An artist bohemian. She also painted sets and had this really interesting life. Now
was beautiful.
Because even
she did for books and things.
She has done so much beautiful stuff, and she was completely, like a lot of Black people are, cut out of the history of the deck. Rider is actually the publisher. It'd be like if my deck was named after my publishers, who are amazing, but we don't do that anymore. But the publishers, it's her thing. So now it is called the Rider-Waite Smith in honor of her.
Right?
Yeah, people are calling it,
great.
or they're just calling it Waite Smith right now. They're like, fuck Rider.
I love that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. So we're having a little petit progress, right?
But I felt very connected to her, by the way, in certain points when I was writing the book, deep in it and writing chapters of the book, and deep in it when I was coming up with card ideas, I would say, come on now, help me out. And I felt her energy around me. So I just hope I, can honor her memory with this book.
Yes.
Any more questions?
Yes, we can do one more, or however many you want. But
she's got to go take care of her kids soon, so let's do
Right.
one or two more.
That's code for I need a drink and a joint.
All right, don't give all our secrets away.
Sorry. I mean, yes,
it's legal
baby,
here.
It's
It's legal.
Of course, my baby.
This one's for both of you from Monique. When did you first become interested in tarot?
Oh, I think Cree, when did you actually first, because you got deep in your studies when you were going through
I became interested in, I had that flimsy Lohan interest in tarot, right? Where it's like, I had that kind of, that limp dick show off. I like tarot. I'm so cool.
Oh, I'm a hippie chick. Of course I
I'm a
like
hippie
tarot.
chick, but I didn't know shit about fucking tarot. And if I was ever confronted with it, it would be exposed. So I would say I'm 51 years old. I got into tarot at 49.
Oh, you
49 years
weren't. You
old.
didn't do it when you were younger.
I,
guess thought
I
you
like I
did.
said, it was a real flimsy Lohan
Yeah.
kind of
No, but see, let me tell you
version
something else what I
it.
love about
You know what I
Cree,
mean? Like it
though.
wasn't. I'll just say, yes, I was interested in tarot 30 years ago, but with a really limited interest and the attention span of a tsetse fly. But but then when my man left me and my heart was broken, I really felt like tarot called me, and all of a sudden, in the midst of heartbreak, I had the attention required to study tarot for real. So 2 years.
Yeah.
I'm 2 years in.
Gotcha. Even I didn't know
Yes,
that.
baby, you're hungry. I'm coming.
But what I love about Cree, though, is like we're real hippies, right? Which means we'll admit that, like, there are times there's a lot of hippies who put on the paraphernalia of hippie and aren't really hippies. We're actual
Hollywood
hippies.
hippies. Yeah.
Yeah, Hollywood hippies. We're actual
Hollywood
hippies.
and jobs. Yeah.
Because a Hollywood hippie wouldn't have admitted they didn't, that they were just flimsy Lohan about it. They just wouldn't say that. They would want to present themselves in a certain way. My story I write about in the book, how I got into tarot, but briefly, at 4 or 5, and I could read then, I pulled these books out of my parents' bookcase, Nietzsche's Man and His Symbols and Carl Jung's it's the other way around. It's Nietzsche's Beyond Good and Evil and Carl Jung's Man and His Symbols. Now, I could read, but I was probably just looking at the images and the things and a couple keywords. So then a few years later, when one of my parents' friends gave me a deck, I went, I know these. Wait, I know that it just kind of connected in me and related back to those 2 books. Because some of them, especially Man and His Symbols, that has some images in black and white, but some images that are on the tarot cards. And that's how I began really getting into tarot. And then I detail when I really dug in and how I studied in the book, in the essay. That was sort of brief, Cree.
I think you did good, baby. You suck
So,
there.
yeah,
right
I guess
out.
that either
You're hired.
Thanks, girl. So are you. I really liked your read. It's crazy. When you walked in the door, I knew you were going to get the part. But one or two more question, and then Cree's got to go feed her babies.
All right, one more from Wendy. What advice do you have for someone inspired to create their own deck?
Go for it. Go for it. I mean, here's what I'll say, like, about any artistic project. A lot of people, I realize, sit around and are waiting for permission, right, to do something. And I mean that about myself too. I've often been like, what am I supposed to do now? And I'm waiting for somebody to tell me or give me permission to do it. And if you want to create a deck, do it.
I know. Can we talk about permission? Somebody said somewhere, you can't buy your own tarot deck. Someone has to buy a tarot deck for you. I thought that was the most asinine thing I'd ever heard. Buy your own damn tarot deck, and if someone gives you that,
and make it mine.
And if someone gives you that shuck and jive about someone has to gift you and it's some kind of ninja ceremony, it's not the truth. Just go get your own beautiful deck and learn tarot.
Yeah, like what I wrote on Twitter was someone said you can't buy your own deck, and I was like, well, no, I shouldn't say.
Yeah, don't do it.
I forget it's not just me and Cree. No, but I was like, listen. What I wrote back was, you can buy your own deck. That is a myth. Would a golfer or a tennis player let someone else pick out their racket? No, they wouldn't.
Jesus Christ. I mean, would anybody let anybody else pick out your own
your instrument? And then someone
your instrument.
Wait, and then
player say, "Hey, you pick my guitar."
And then someone else wrote, no, you must be gifted your first, but you can buy other ones after that. And I was like, who the fuck are you making all the goddamn rules, Karen?
Yeah.
Because it's never any black participant. It's not. It's always some expert who's not brown telling me what I can. What I think is, if it resonates with you, then don't buy your own deck and wait 100 years for someone to give one to you. If that works for you.
Sure hope somebody buy me a tarot deck.
But no, I mean, all jokes aside, it is actually what you believe. If you truly believe that, then stick by that. But don't go telling everyone what your personal belief is. Otherwise, you sound like a hypocritical church member. Truly. But okay, so I guess that's the last question. And we kind of hijack that, which is true. Listen, there's so many people who tell you it's this, it's that, it's this. Just like when I was working on the book, I researched twin flames, which I didn't end up writing about. But I'm gonna tell you something. There's a lot of twin flame experts. And listen, people, if that theory resonates for you, I don't like it. I think it's a trap for getting stuck in limerence and for codependent people. But if it does resonate with you, that is great. And if there's someone out there that you think, just like if it resonates with you, whatever works for you is what I think. I don't like it when people say you must do it like this. I try to say, at least in my book, this is how I do it. These are ideas that I know work. Take what works for you and then leave what doesn't, and then read another book and take what works for you there. And that is how you develop a relationship with your cards. Mm-hmm. Also, lastly, you guys can get a signed copy of this book only from Book Soup.
Only from Book Soup. I love Book Soup, by the way.
Me too.
Shout to Book Soup.
Shout out to Book Soup, because you guys don't even know. Lastly, we weren't sure when at 6:02 when you guys were like, "Is anyone going to speak?" We weren't technically sure we were going to be able to.
We were hanging on by a mosquito contour at that point. We were so fucking scared. We thought that there was no way this shit was going to get it together, because Mercury actually tap danced all over this fucking session.
Lord of mercy.
But by the grace of God.
Like literally, I was about to herd you guys over to Instagram because we couldn't get Cree up here, but it did work out.
It did work.
And I just want to thank all the people. There's a lot of people in this chat room. I'm so sorry we didn't get to answer more questions, but each and every one of you, I want you to know, like, we appreciate you back. There's a reason you came on here for being Cree, and we just want to thank you so much. And don't forget, there's a book. It's 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 a book and a deck. So I hope you check it out.
I have one thing to say before we sign out.
Because you're going to FaceTime me afterwards, right?
Okay, but I just have one thing to say to you, and that is, you girls watch out for those weirdos.
We are the weirdos, mister. I was like, what is she talking about? Then I was like, no, we're weirdos.
Thank you both so much for being with us tonight. Thank you everyone for watching and being such a lively audience. And please click the green button and get your copy so you can get a signed copy. We're the only place. So if you want it signed, that green button right there. You can also check our website. And thank you, Rachel. Thank you, Cree. It was a wonderful conversation. This will be recorded and on our YouTube page after.
Thank you so much, Cree, for being such a good friend, such a supportive friend during the process. But not only that, but coming on here with me today and supporting my project. I mean so much to me, Cree. And Book Soup.
Oh, girl, you know what it is? You make me braggadocious. I strut around like a peacock by association. I'm proud of you.
People, you want friends who brag about you when you're not around. Just take it from me.
Show you right. Show you right.
All right. Thank you guys
Ciao,
so
man,
much.
God bless
Go
you.
relax. Thank you so much. Bye.